Boom. I think
So
we're
where do I
live.
send my money?
Hey everybody. Welcome to the Crow's
Oh, wait,
Nest.
I'm sorry.
Episode 2. We have a special guest that I was going to try to announce and set up and pub, but the special guest already started talking. And you can see we have a special guest, Jason Wiebe, with us today. Everybody clap. Welcome,
Thank
Jason
you.
Wiebe. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. You're the very first guest on the Crow's Nest. Thanks for joining us. Now it sounds like kind of
Boy,
a
I
talk
can
show right
barely
now,
hear
doesn't
you.
it? Oh, it sounds like a talk show now, doesn't it?
There, that's better.
Yeah. So welcome. I wasn't using my microphone etiquette that I was been trying to work on. But yeah, welcome
Yeah,
to the
you gotta
show,
make
buddy.
love to that mic.
Now there's two of us telling you to do it. There's two of us.
Well, maybe. And then as normal, we have the disembodied voice of Justin and the Snowden picture. It looks like I believe that's Justin, just because it actually has hair. Right?
Okay. All right. All right. All right. You know
No,
what?
So-
he explained he shaved it for the virus.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wiebe.
Just someone need to explain to him that he didn't need to shave the top of his head for the surgical mask still to go on. It was
Listen, I go full out. Right.
yeah,
That's how this
yeah,
works.
yeah. Hey everybody,
The
hey everybody in
disinfectant shower
chat.
works better that way.
Jason, you're getting a lot of shout outs there, Jason. So
I'm getting a lot of what? Shout outs?
shout outs. Yeah.
Do you have chat pulled up, Jason?
I do. But I wasn't reading it because I can't take my eyes off Proctor.
Oh,
I know, right? That's kind of yeah. Anyways, so on this is episode 2, our third episode. But Friday we did a 1.5 episode to mainly work out a lot of the bugs that episode 1 created, which is they were all created by me because I am sucking at the streaming thing so far. We're gonna figure it all out though.
nah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
sounds fine here.
So I thought
Okay, actually, real quick, before we really get into the nuts and bolts here,
okay.
we do have to do our. I know people are probably used to this by now, watching any of the Reaper streams. Can everyone hear my voice well? Can everyone hear Jason's voice well?
Test.
We'll have to give it a second here because there will be a delay.
Rhonda's on. Hello, Rhonda. Hey, hey,
Hello,
Bug
Rhonda
Lips.
Jason is low.
Jason does seem a little low.
I'm not sure how to fix that.
We have a couple. Well, in your circumstance, you would just what you would do, Proctor, is you'd go into Discord, you'd click where it says J Wiebe, and you would increase his volume that way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is just.
It's real easy to do, not super hard.
Ah.
You can boost
Yeah, I've
him a
exhausted all the options on this end.
bit. Which is to say, he hasn't opened the settings menu once.
No. Oh,
I
look
did, though. I did. I opened it.
I believe you. I do.
I bumped him up to 171% of his volume.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, talk for us there, Jason.
Talk.
I don't notice a lot of difference, but I can hear him pretty well.
You may need to turn me up too if I'm too quiet.
Yeah, I think you're good too.
Better. Malverna said better.
Yeah. I have Justin as a robot on my Stream OBS thing. Yeah, I think we're good. Anyways. So
actually, that's your overall output right there, Proctor.
Yeah.
So if you want to move that slider up, that moves he and I both louder.
All right. What do you think about that? Do a little testing there. Yeah.
Testing, everyone.
Test.
Is this
Bob and Julie are on too. See, I got a better setup today where I've got my little iPad right here so I can actually see what's going on. Dan Goodchild is on. Well, who am I missing here? Who's Gwendolyn?
Even better,
Still
yeah.
quiet. I
Who's
don't really
Gwendolyn
watch
and
very
Green?
long. That's no
I
good.
know that name. Anyways, not a lot of folks. So, what are we doing today? I think I wanted to show off since I kind of Reaper Live. They talked about the May figure coming out and how I found out about the same time you guys did that I was going to be painting it, and it's due by the end of this week. So that was on Thursday. Ron overnighted it that Thursday. So usually overnight means the next day. That's what my understanding of overnight is. But overnight ended up being noon yesterday. So noon yesterday, she came in. I've been feverishly painting on her. I don't know her name, but she's going to be the May figure. So it is coming along nicely. I've been working on some freehand and whatnot. And this is sculpted by Bobby Jackson. Again, the May figure. What is it, Justin? If you order $40 from the store, she's one of your options, and she'll be the new miniature option for the month of May. And then she'll continue on in the rotation through the end of the year. So eventually,
I actually believe that's before shipping too, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right. It is before shipping. Before the little bot will let you do that, but it's easy to get that. Just order some more dice or something. So yeah, she's been a lot of fun. She's really, again, concept art was by Izzy Towing Collier. There's a little arrow, a spear pack I don't have attached now because I was trying to work on her freehand for her cloak or whatnot, and it's not quite done yet. It has a little more work to do due to the tight time constraints.
Beautiful freehand.
Thanks. Due to the tight time constraints, a lot of people think freehand is harder than just normal blending. I think, I know, sometimes when I got to do something really fast like this is, because I need to get this done tomorrow in order to take pictures, in order to send it to Iran, because I don't have much time on Thursday. And if you guys hear any additional noises in the background right now, we are in the middle of a kitchen remodel. Because the COVID crisis wasn't enough stress, we decided we would totally demolish our kitchen and put in a new one. So right now they are installing countertops. Could have been on any other day during the week, but of course they're coming on Tuesday when we decided to do this show. So can you hear that grinding or anything?
No.
Okay.
I imagine that's pretty loud, though.
I can hear it.
Can you hear it?
Bear delivery service.
Yeah, I think it looks like the audience.
Yeah, they can hear it too. Well, Jason's the only lucky one. So that's where she is. But with Jason being on the show today, I wanted to make sure that we spent a lot of time talking to one of my best friends, Jason Wiebe. Got to know him. Yeah, you didn't know I was going to say that, did you?
I think in my contract you got to say it at least 4 more times.
I know you don't feel the same, but it's a one-way street.
No, I consider you among my best friends for sure.
But I wanted to tell a quick story about Jason that he kind of knows about a little bit. We've referenced it over the years or whatnot. So my very first ReaperCon was 2008, and I had only been painting seriously again, picked it up after my layoff, as I've described in the past before, for a few years. And then had competed at a local con called Genghis Con, and a bunch of the Genghis Con folks had been going to the ReaperCons before that. I don't even know how many there were before the 2008 one. But I was like, I want to go. I think I'm good enough to enter. So I just went as a general attendee, and I entered 4 pieces, but 2 of them were Jason Wiebe pieces. And the first one this is a Warlord piece, I think, right, Jason?
Yep. I think he wound up, in the Warlord, the Warlord band. Yeah,
so the only thing I did is I added a little, this was the limit of my sculpting ability kind of at the time. I took a flat piece of green and made it's a really thick cloth. And it's not really it's not free-handed underneath there, so don't look there. But yeah, he was one of my, I got a Sophie trophy for him. So he's kind of cool. But I did him, and the other one that I brought was this Jason Wiebe's. What was this one called? Do you remember, Jason?
Spirit of the Forest.
Spirit of the Forest. And I did some extra conversion with some plants and lots of red and white polka dotted mushrooms, which is kind of a joke. Ask Anne about red and white polka dotted mushrooms and see what kind of response you get from her. But I entered these 2 things, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody at all. And Jason came up to me after the painting competition and everything and actually introduced himself. And I of course, I knew who he was. I knew the name, I knew the face, all that stuff as well. So I was really blown away and spent time talking to him. And then I think Anne approached me, and I did one of my first little commission pieces, and it happened to be for Reaper. And then we did an artist con, and I got invited to come to that very first thing. And that's when I got to know Jason and Gene and Bobby Jackson and Bob and Julie, who's on this as well. And we've all become really good friends, and I really value all their friendships. But yeah, so we'll have to get, speaking of that, well, maybe we can get Bob and Julie to come on one of these episodes too, since they're in the
that'd
stream.
Be neat.
I think that'd be cool. Because then I'd like to show, I still have although Reaper has most of the stuff that I've painted for folks, I still have some of their work, like I still have these in my little case. Like those two pieces I showed to Jason's were my very first Sophie trophies were those two. And then, I don't know, do you remember this guy?
Oh, yeah. Apex.
Yeah, he, Chronoscope, I believe, right?
Yes.
You remember Cool Mini used to do those annuals? Those little books? Yeah. He was my first guy in any book. So he was my very first thing I got into Cool Mini. He's one of your pieces. He's so cool. He's such a cool sculpt. Cool figure. But I've been, over the years, been assigned to a lot of Wiebe sculpts. From Reaper, of course, but I tend to paint a lot of your stuff from Dark Sword too, or a few of your pieces.
Yeah, well, no, I'm honored whenever I see painted pieces, obviously, but when you bring them to a competition, that's even better.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's been a fun road. It's been fun getting into the world and everything, and getting to know all these folks, and then I don't know, becoming friends with them and getting them to know me further, and then playing D&D with them. So yeah, it's been cool. So what have you been up to, Wiebe?
Just finishing a few more of the Bones 5 pieces, doing some adjustments. There's always a short amount of time when we're actually in direct contact with the factory, and so we try to head off some of those repairs or make things a little easier for them, so they can be produced in the Bones material. So that's been this week.
So how's that sea giant coming?
He's coming really good.
Does he still have the inflato, the little water weenie?
Well, it's in a stack of files. There's no real way to put it on him.
Okay.
With the rest of the stuff. It would completely disrupt the wonderful drawing that Izzy did.
It would. No, I'm really looking forward to that piece. That one's really cool. I've already called dibs on that, along with a number of other things as well. So,
yeah, well, we've been playing with it a little bit because we didn't want to make it a sea giant that would be wearing the front end of Chris Lewis's wonderful ship, because that would be a huge sea giant. So we've been kind of adjusting here and there. I don't think anybody will really notice too much by the time we're done, but it's a little bit of magic.
Yeah, and I'm showing right now the Mimic. Can you see that?
Oh.
Isn't that cool? I got that in the package as well, so it comes in two pieces.
You don't want to drop that on your granite countertop.
This is a hunk of metal, and then it fits in really good. I think John was showing this off, but the seams really aren't that bad.
It was a little overexposed, so it was hard to tell what you were looking at. But also, not to really kind of derail the conversation, but to derail the conversation.
All right, let's do that.
Is granite? Are the granite countertops really that fragile? Like, I always thought they were really, really durable.
They are
durable, but everything chips.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to be dropping like a
cracks, right?
Yeah.
No.
You could crack it, like if you put something like super hot on one of the surfaces, like it'll crack it, maybe.
Talk to anybody that's installed them at, how often they've come back.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, it just happens. They're great countertops, though. I mean, I'd have them. So
once they're installed today, I'll take a picture and put it up on my personal Facebook page. I have a little folder on the Great Kitchen Remodel, which has been, we're in week 10.
Are we going to sandblast your logo into that?
Oh my God, I'm just ready for it to be over with. It's just there's so much more time to go.
Because you can send it up here and I'll fix it up for you.
Oh, we're gonna mail the whole piece of granite to you?
Overnight, man.
I don't think so. So I don't want to pay for that. I just want it to be done. So Great at Table Studio said Sea Giant ? The Sea Giant is part of the Bones 5 Kickstarter, and I don't know what faction but whatever level or whatever it was. It was the sea stuff, the ocean stuff, and he was at the bottom. So right now it's just Izzy's art. I don't even think they've attached any of your renders so far. But yeah, he's super cool looking, and some great art to go off of, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I wanted to also. Oh, so last week we were going over Brother Hammond a little bit, and prior to knowing everything was going to change, and I was going to have to get the opportunity to paint the Mace figure, I worked on a little bit more, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to save him, and we're going to do an episode of me building a base, or I'll putting together a base and whatnot. I did do the base for her, and since we'll do a little tutorial section of the show right now, this base is created with these. And what this is you can take Milliput, and Milliput is, for those that know, Milliput is, let's hold the right side up, about standard red Milliput, and it comes in two things, blue and yellow. You mix them together 50-50 and you get the little stuff. Now you'll notice that this Milliput with all the little things is terracotta colored. Well, that's because I'm a dumbass and I ordered the wrong stuff. And it came because I ordered for Amazon because I couldn't go down to the local hobby town as it was closed during the COVID. And this was actually after the state made them close it down because they didn't want to close down. But what I did was I mixed it together, super thin, rolled it out on a giant piece of tile. I took some Vaseline and coated it up and made a super thin, and so it came. I had a big sheet of it, and then took it and just broke it off into a million pieces. And when you can take all the pieces and stack them up, and you can even use some Milliput in between and just jam them in there, you can make a little kind of rocky scene like this, and that's still being painted right now. But that's a quick way to kind of take a little inch square base and give it a little height and get a little like, okay, I want my miniature to pop up a little bit higher than everybody else's on the table, especially if you might be gaming with them. Make yours just a little bit bigger and taller. So anyways, that's my little tip corner of the show.
Well, it's a good time to mention that Milliput is a super hard putty once it sets up.
Yeah.
So you can sand it and drill it and carve it. Green putty by itself is a little more rubbery, so you kind of have to pick the putty that suits your application.
I think Milliput for me, and I've used it to patch big seams and larger figures and whatnot, but you're absolutely right. I mean, Milliput is generally the stuff I use for basing, and then if I'm going to do conversions on whatever, on an actual figure, then I'll use green stuff, right? So that's usually the two. When I've used, like you said, when I've used green stuff for basing, say I ran out of Milliput or whatever, it becomes very rounded. And even if I go back to this figure a long time ago, that was green stuff. And you'll see that it's very rounded and almost rubbery-ish looking, where you can get more hard lines, and where this was after I discovered Milliput. And this is actually dry, air-hardened clay. So Milliput isn't cheap, but if air hardening clay is super, super cheap, or it's a lot less expensive, I will make big slices and let that dry out and break it up into little pieces. Then you can create little ruined cityscapes and what have you. So I wanted to... Justin, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. So is there missing anything in comments that I haven't even looked at yet?
No. Basically, people are talking about epoxy and green stuff and,
okay, cool.
and Milliput, basically, just kind of their inputs on what they've used. They're talking amongst themselves.
So the show's just kind of going on its own, and the conversation's going off on its own.
Well, you invited a sculptor onto your show.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
So I don't have anything to say about painting.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, the dynamic on Twitch is very frequently the chat will have its own conversation, kind of like they're in this movie theater, right? And they can talk to each other. So they talk amongst themselves, and then they also watch what's going on, and then they'll engage with you guys. But I'm also listening to what the two of you have to say, because I mean, this is new information for me as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, Corporea, I don't know if I would put Milliput.
Or an invoice or something.
Yeah, Corporea, I don't know if I'd put Milliput in your shower.
Ron at Reaper Mini, Jason Wiebe.
Yeah, Ron at Race. Yeah. You didn't get your check?
No. I didn't get my check. I thought it was coming right from you, Proctor.
No. That comes from Ron. Ron sends all that stuff. Yeah.
No, for appearing on your show.
Oh, no. I mean, it is, I'm part of the show, but the show owners is Reaper.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, this is...
Nice dodge.
Yeah.
So I get paid off the net instead of the gross, don't I?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Whatever your contract is, I can't tell you about my contract, but I can tell you about what other contracts are out there. Does that make sense? So. Was working on something else, and since Wiebe was on, I kind of wanted to give Wiebe the floor to talk about a little bit of his process with this guy.
The Blacktooth Terror.
Yeah, he was from Bones 4, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And why does he have 3 fingers and not 2 fingers? That's what the controversy is.
Because most of these Blacktooth Terror dinosaurs have 3 finger digits and a thumb digit.
Oh, okay.
That's wonderful. I really like the way that's turning out.
Yeah.
I've seen some really, really good paint jobs on these Black Teeth Terrors.
Yeah, you had somebody's. Was that? I don't want to say a name in case I get it wrong. You had somebody's photo up on your profile a while back.
It might have been Jennifer Mellors that I had on my Facebook for a while. But yeah, it was a very fun piece. Ron and I share a love for dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So we have always wanted to do dinosaurs, but they're so big and they don't have wings, so people are kind of iffy about buying them for dragons.
Yeah.
But now Bones has given us a great opportunity to do some of these larger figures.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the very first one out of the chute that he suggested. And we went back and forth on different parts of this. And I think it's a really good example of art director and sculptor cooperation. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you add your flair to it with the paint job, and it knocks you over.
All right, so I get a lot of questions on desk height. Rhonda just texted me. So I have an adjustable chair. So when my chair is normal, this is a normal desk height. So this is normal height, and I'm up here. But when I tend to paint, I tend to hunch over. So when I'm painting, a lot of times I'll just drop my chair down so I keep my posture a little bit better and I don't get this head falling over thing. Because I have this giant melon of a head that has, centrifugal force or center of balance. I want to try to keep that from leaning over and bumping into things. So that's why I lowered my seat a little bit. And also it gets me a better angle at the mic. Kind of looks like I'm a little kid at the Thanksgiving room table. But that's kind of what it is. So I missed those comments, but thank you, Rhonda, for pointing that out. But yeah. So
if you're hearing stuff, my 2 pugs are getting ready to go for a walk with my daughter. And they're making a lot of noise. I'm sorry.
You need to compile all of your Enzo and Frankie blogs into a book. Because those are hilarious. Those are hilarious. Those are a lot of fun. I just think those are pretty cool.
You know what? Yeah. While we're talking about chat and questions, by the way, mm-hmm. Remember there is a Discord channel, a text channel for the show.
Uh-huh.
The names for Proctor, let's call it that. So if you have questions for the show, or questions for Proctor, or hell, in this case, questions for Wiebe or anyone else we could have on,
right.
Go ahead and drop stuff in there. Like, you guys can talk about the show in there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And we'll catch it after the fact, even if we all miss it.
Look,
sure. I haven't seen anybody at a convention, obviously, for a while. So if you have any sculpting questions, feel free to fire them off.
Yeah, thanks for adding value, Justin.
I tried to. Thanks, buddy.
God, he's so good. He's really good.
I know. It's like he's done this before. And is it getting closer to where the hashtag not professionals is going to be removed?
That's never going to be removed. That's part of the brand now.
Well,
for this show, yeah. I think for this show we could be, closer to perfection. How about that?
Yeah.
Closer to perfection with Clever Crow.
We'll go with that. Yeah.
More professional than that Thursday show.
Than that Thursday show. Okay.
Man, I wasn't going to get too sharp on that. But, I guess I don't own the channel.
They're not watching anyway, so it doesn't matter. I don't know.
Also true.
Also true. Do we want to do a little painting or something? You want to try to do that?
Rainbow Sculptor had a question about how many of my pieces you've painted.
Wow. How many do you think, Jason? Quite a bit.
It's approaching triple digits, maybe.
I would say
if you count up all the different companies and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to mention here, but
I've done. Yeah, I mean the Reaper and the Dark Sword are the ones I feel comfortable talking about. There's been a few that are no longer in business. Remember? And
you've done stuff for me. I almost sent the emissary as my little icon picture. Because I did love that, the orangutan bust I did.
Oh yeah, that was your own personal.
You sent it to me. I have it. Don't even look.
Yeah, no, hold on.
I stole it last time I was down there.
Yeah, but I have the box. Oops.
You're not supposed to get up and walk around.
That's part of the show.
All the time.
I do.
There you go.
Yeah, there he is. So, do you have any more of these? Look, you even put my little logo there too, which I thought was cool.
I actually do have some more, and at some point they'll be available to the public again.
Yeah.
So I had some things to work out on the resin, and the paying job gets in the way. Not in the way, but that's where you get your first.
So is Cargo Cult still your company? Because you do have a number of shell companies that you.
It's one of them. Yeah, I have a number of shell companies
that you launder your money through.
I'm starting a new one called Shaman's Hut, but follow me on Facebook. You'll see what that's all about. Hashtag Shaman's Hut.
Can you give us a tease on what that is?
That's my other hat. I'm a gemologist, and I do some stone carvings on occasion and some fancy jewelry, and generates a lot of extra stones and materials. So I thought I'd maybe put some up to sell because it's just taken over my basement.
Yeah. Also, go ahead.
That I'm gonna go ahead and say this. That orangutan to me is a little creepy.
Is it?
Very much like Island of Dr. Moreau kind of.
Or like what you were claiming to have watched as a kid that you never actually did earlier.
I watched the Val Kilmer version. Are you talking about Planet of the Apes?
Yeah.
I like to do creepy stuff that people haven't really encountered.
Yeah. All right, so Jason, there's a question of listening to paint dry. He would love to know about the process of taking concept art to a sculpt. Like say you got some Izzy art, right? And so can you talk about just a little bit of what you're thinking about before you start?
I'll get a piece of Izzy art. If I'm really lucky, I'm actually at Reaper and I can discuss it with Izzy because she's always got the best insights. But if it comes over the mail or email, the first thing I do is talk to Ron a little bit. I want to see what the high points he sees in a sculpt, like what's important, maybe what's not so important, any issues on castability. But Izzy's been around miniatures for a while, so she really knows how to draw things from the start. So there's very little problem with that. And then pretty much digitally, it's very similar to the way I approach things with putty. You build an underlying armature and you keep adding from the inside out. You bulk it up. You start to add muscles and striations. Then if there's any skin texture, then if there's clothes or fur, and then you start doing what I consider to be the dessert, which is the face and the accoutrements.
So
it's really a multi-step process. And sometimes I check with Ron to see if I'm on the right track, or if he thought something else should be emphasized or made a little bigger, a little smaller.
At what point does he say, "Damn it,
go ahead.
Wiebe"? At what point does he say, "Damn it, Wiebe"? When does that usually come in?
Not when we're actually being professionals. Not very often. We have a really good professional relationship.
Yeah.
So Jason, to ham-fistedly ignore your analogy, you eat your sculpts?
Do I eat them?
Yeah. You drew the analogy between dessert and main course.
Oh no, I don't. I'm sorry. I forgot you were a neophyte.
Yes.
No, we don't actually eat the sculpts. Not usually. I mean, no. That's not really something I'd want to.
Oh wow! All jokes aside, that kind of sounds awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, so Jason, you had when you were doing green stuff, you had a very distinctive style. I mean, I think anybody that's seen your stuff over a period of time is like, oh yeah, that's a Wiebe piece. You have been able to maintain that into digital. Was there any challenge, or is that just the way you do things, and it was an easy transition or easy translation over from green stuff to digital? Does that make sense?
Yeah, once you get your hands around the tech, which was my problem because I hadn't tried to learn anything new in like 20 years. So with the help of some of my friends who were very patient, I got the tech going. And then after that, it is a process of tweaking and trying to make it look like it's yours. And that is probably the most important part to me, is if someone can tell who sculpted it. I think that's so important. And a lot of the digital sculptors I talk to now all have a personal style, and it's great to see it coming out in their sculpts.
Do they develop that personal style after they've kind of learned, like you said, learned the process, or learned,
yes,
all the buttons and stuff? So
yeah, but it would be hard to jump right into style questions if you can't figure out how to make a good mesh, or how to make a printable mesh, or things like that, because you still have to know what you can do. Just like with putty, you have to know what you can do with a material before you can push it to its limits.
Do you think it's helped you in your ability to sculpt things, or just as an ability to maybe produce more sculpts?
I absolutely do think it helped. I think most of the Reaper sculptors working now, be it digital or putty, have a history of hands-on 3D sculpting or carving even.
Yeah.
And I do think that helps to see it in the round, because the round you can see in ZBrush is kind of fake.
Do you think is it beneficial for you? Do you think people, like, if they're learning into sculpt, should they just go straight into ZBrush, or should they try hand traditional sculpting first, or does it matter?
Well, it's possible to jump right in. If you're going to do that, I suggest starting with architectural forms and terrain, because it's a little more forgiving. A lot of the sculptors I know that came in from digital art, where that was their first experience, have actually gone back and started hand building things just for their own edification. I do think that helps. There's no hesitation on my part to say you got to get your hands dirty.
Yeah, that's cool.
Also, could you come up with the model a little bit, Proctor, more directly over your circle there?
Yeah, so there?
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just try to paint there. I mean, bottom left of the screen is great and all, but
You mean over here? Is that better?
Yeah, no, it's great.
That's
good? Yeah, it's perfect. Okay.
What about
I was
right
looking
there?
at the wrong feed.
About right there.
That is dead. I don't think anyone can complain from that. You
think right there is good? I'll
that's
just work
great.
on her right there, and then she'll just.
Oh, that's even better. I like that.
She'll come in right there.
Good view. Dan Goodchild, I can't type it out that fast. I use a Cintiq Companion 2. Which is obsolete now, but I like it so much I have several backups. For me, I had to be able to draw right on the screen, I found to eliminate the interface of drawing on a little tablet that's sitting down on my desk. That was never something I did well. And once you could draw right on the screen, Surface Pros work fairly well for ZBrush as well. But that really pushed it over for me, was the ability to put my pen, my stylus right on the screen and manipulate the pixels and the sculpt and the mesh and everything else.
Do you miss the immediate result? Like when you were
Yep.
doing green stuff, you had something tangible in your hand. It was easier to send off and get a mold made and get a metal copy. Now there's these extra steps, right?
Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, to keep pushing me to get my digital sculpting work done, I actually have bought a couple of power carvers, because for a long time I've had these chunks of wood sitting around, and I don't know if you know me very well, but I like to carve tikis and Polynesian art and that kind of thing.
I'm still waiting on my Clever Crow inspired tiki, by the way, that you've been promising for years that I have yet to see.
Work on that. But having something in your hand, I miss that. I don't think everybody does, but when you're done with something and you can turn it in your hand and look at how the light hits it and everything, I think it's just because I've been at this a long time and I need that feedback.
Yeah, and it's hard too. So you do all these sculpts and you send off the files and whatnot. And if the green in the old days, if the green survived, you generally get it back, right? And then you have it on your shelf or whatever. But unless
it depends on the company. But as far as Reaper goes, we got the greens back.
But unless you print it off, you're not going to have an original print. You may get the final production miniature at some point.
Right, that's true. I did that actually with our, what did we call it? Reaper Night? No, what was it? Reaper Errant, our gaming session.
Yes.
Reaper Errant, correct.
I designed a miniature for that. I was in a time bind. I zipped it over to Ben Rodman at Fortress Figures. They printed it out, and Ben's a good painter, so he painted it up and sent it down to Texas so it could appear on camera. So I've got the digital file. I've never seen the printout.
Is that going to be a Reaper fig?
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably should, since it's going to be part of a Reaper broadcast. I'm sure everybody's going to want to get one, right?
Yeah, well, I hope so. I mean, that if there's a spot for it in the line, I'm sure they'll put it in.
Yeah. So go ahead.
We could see it as a show exclusive, like purchasable type dealy thing, kind of like something that fits into our, not swag necessarily, but that's kind of what I'm thinking here. So imagine like a T-shirt, the show specific minis and you name it, stuff like that.
There's all sorts of stuff we could do with it. I'm not a marketing guy anymore, so, but I believe that's your job, Justin. So.
Whoa, I am not the marketing guy. I'm the guy that hits the button.
Ron keeps telling us,
Right.
He'll hand it to the marketing director, so we always assumed it was.
No, that's not. There's another person that's the marketing director.
I was about to say, that makes me chuckle, but that's not me.
No, there's another person that has the title of marketing director.
I was trying to pin it on you.
Yeah. Well,
and also allow you to get some of the kudos, but
he's.
I'll take all the kudos without any of the work, please.
Yeah, you ducked it, so that's it.
Justin is the president of the audiovisual club, like in high school. Yeah, I believe so. Right.
We didn't have one of those. I mean, we did have one of those, but it was kind of a joke.
Yeah. So another question, I was trying to think of some questions. So I've never done an interview kind of session before, so I'm still learning. But Wiebe, you're known for your monsters and whatnot, and I do tend to paint a lot of your monsters, but you do awesome characters as well. Is there one that you prefer? You like to sculpt big, huge monsters, just normal scale folks, or is there?
Well,
it depends.
Well, the big sculpting pretty much went away for a while, just because of production and the fact that metal started to cost a lot, and we weren't all geared up to do plastics yet. So I did quite a few character sculpts I really like. I think my head is always in the monsters, though.
Yeah.
And like I said, I like to portray stuff that's creepy but almost impossible to see in real life, so I'm not, freaking anybody out or whatever.
Well, I would define them as creepy, totally, but a little bit whimsical at the same time. Do you
Yeah.
know?
Well, if
Yeah.
you can't have fun doing something, I mean,
Yeah.
this is our job, but it's also our hobby. It was my hobby a long time before it was my job.
I
Yeah.
think you're the Tim Burton of the sculptor world. I think is the best way I can think of it.
Hmm. I'll have to read his definitive biography and see if I agree.
Oh, don't. That's not a one for one there.
No, thank you. I know that was a compliment. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes things turn out really well. You know that orc shaman that you I think you painted him, didn't you?
Yeah. The one that
Yeah,
became a Bones
yeah.
Black. Yeah.
And that's a fairly old sculpt in green putty, and I still like it. I was looking through it, looking at it today when I was looking for a picture for the corner.
Yeah, no, that one, it was crazy. It was just a metal sculpt, and it converted over so quickly and easily over to Bones Black, because they just used the casting of that.
Yeah,
So that was a copy of a copy of a copy, maybe. You know what I mean? By the time it hit Bones Black, and it still had really good clarity,
yeah, and that was
good
another great
definition.
piece of Izzy artwork.
Yeah, yeah, those are cool. Do you? I mean, that leads. You do a lot with Izzy art, but of course, there's a lot that you just comes out of your twisted little brain.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
You do a lot of a lot of your sculpts are based off of Izzy art, but a lot of stuff comes out of your own head too, right? And then you
Yes.
end up trying to sell Ron on it to see if he wants to buy what you've done. Sometimes you just
Yeah, I
surprise
throw
it on
out
him.
I threw a few spec pieces once in a while to see if there's room or if they like them.
Uh-huh.
I'm always happy to get art from Izzy. I'm always happy to take a stab at it myself too. So
Yeah, yeah. I was just trying to find if I'm missing any questions. Have you seen anything?
I'm actually scrolling up now to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Well,
did you ask me something?
no, not. I'm just looking to see if I'm missing anything that anybody asked, because it's good to have you on. It's been fun. Still trying to find my way and my footing in the show, so it's good to have you on to kind of chat with. And just what I kind of intended was, we've had these artist gatherings over the years, and that's how I got to know Bob and Julie and Jason and Bobby Jackson and Gene Van Horn and Rhonda Bender and Jen Greenwald and folks like that even better. But we'll just sit and be doing our art. Jason will be over there sculpting, I'll be over painting, and we'll just have conversations like this. Just kind of talk about whatever. Usually it's not very offensive, but yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, Robin says
No, it's
just
exactly
listening.
appropriate for our age.
Yeah. So yeah, it's would you want
Kind of reminds me of an old school LAN party. Really,
Yeah.
when I see it, I love it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like I said. The other shows have the paint by number, learning how to paint or doing a specific technique. They have that dialed down. I think they do a great job doing that. So let's do something a little bit differently. Let's hang out and talk and whatnot. But also, I saw something about the freehand. Thank you very much. Would like to see some kind of tutorial on it, and we can definitely do that. Can you talk about your wet palette? My wet palette is a Masterson Stay Wet. It's the smaller kind. It's maybe, I forget the measurements of it. I'm sure it's pretty standard, but it's 9 inches. 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 7-ish. That's a good size. There's those bigger ones that I always refer to as aircraft carriers. They're massive. They're like super big. It just gets to be too big. I like it smaller, and it's also these are super portable. It comes with a sponge, just regular water in there. If you have water with a lot of mineral count, maybe you want to put distilled water in there. I don't bother. And then the regular sponge. And some people don't like the yellow sponge because it's hard to. They say it's hard to read the colors. I don't know. I'm kind of used to it. What you can do is take a paper towel, a white paper towel, fold it a couple times, wet it down, and put it in between your sponge and the paper. Paper's kind of the biggest thing if you're learning what a wet palette is. It comes with what's called wet palette paper. Don't use it. Don't use it. It is you got to microwave it. You got to mess with it. It will get little hairs will come off and stuff. Use parchment paper that you can get from the grocery store. And Reynolds, and I don't have any stock in them, of course, but it has this pre-folded in 4 little squares. You can just cut them up, and they fit perfectly into the palette.
Actually, I think Sadie purchases and uses that when she paints.
Yeah, they're great. You don't have to mess with it at all. I mean, like Corporea uses a paper towel under the parchment. That's great too. And if you don't have a sponge and you want to make your own, some paper towels if you're able to get them, especially during this crisis. And Reaper Dave asked, do they offer white sponges? No, but maybe Reaper could make white sponges. That would be a good angle.
There you go.
There's been some that have tried it. There has been some various Kickstarters on wet palettes and everything. I just really haven't paid attention to those because that cost. I already got this one and I love it. I would go for a white sponge if there was one. We
could probably get Dave to chew up some of those car sponges.
Yes, he and poop them out or what?
Well,
oh boy,
I'll spit them out. Oh, okay. But yeah,
look, Dave's actually in the chat.
He is in the chat. He's the one that asked about the white sponges. That's why I said maybe that's a Reaper thing. And there's that Reaper Dave said there's an idea right there. So I think it's kind of cool.
So actually, a couple of questions here, real quick.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind answering that one question out loud, Jason, here in just a second after I ask Proctor this other question, the one about the genres. But also, there was someone who asked if you had any tips for people who have really bad eyesight and they love to paint, Proctor.
Oh, all right. So the glasses I have right here are prescription, but when I went into the eye doctor, I took a miniature and said, I want to set a focal length and a magnification on me painting a miniature, and we did it. And it was funny. The optometrists, I've done this with a couple of them. They just think it's the coolest thing. They're like, "Oh, that's cool," and they haven't done anything like this a lot of times. So it's interesting to them. But I'll bring a miniature and we'll set up the distance and everything and how far I paint, and we'll set up a focal length on the glasses. So there's that. But that is a prescription, and that costs a little bit of money. What I also get are, and this is what I use for fine detail work as an optivisor. This is a number 7. There's all different kinds. I wouldn't go more than a number 7. I have a higher one, a higher magnification one, and gives me a headache because it's just too much. I use this when I do the fine detail work. When I was working on her eyes, which is hard to tell. You'll see kind of, it's a little blurry. I was using this to do the eyes, but all the freehand stuff and everything else was with the regular size 0 Winsor Newton brush, and actually the non-miniature one is what I was using most of it for. But the optivisors are really good, and then prescription glasses, what I have. Those are the two things. I use the prescription glasses.
There's also, you can get 6 and 7 diopter reading glasses.
Yeah.
You can't pick them off the shelf at Walmart, but if you do a search, you can find some pretty good reading glasses for just short spans of time. But I'll bet they give you a headache if you're there for hours.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone and I've left my glasses behind and had to go to like Walgreens and get those, reading glasses with different magnifications. And they work, but I tend to get a little of a headache after a while because it's not my prescription. So you tend to be focusing a little bit.
Yeah, if you got one eye stronger than the other, it's good.
So it's good. And if you get prescription glasses, and I am only farsighted, so I see far fine, I think that is, but I'll only seeing stuff super close is when I need glasses. I have different glasses for doing computer work and what have you, but I don't wear glasses otherwise, except when I'm painting or doing a lot of computer work, and then I'll put on my computer glasses and use those. So.
All right. If you could, Jason, answer the genre question for us out loud.
The genre question? Oh, okay. Well, obviously, my first passion is looking at monsters, and I do a lot of research into first contact writing about different cultures and their various cryptozoological beasts. I'd have an immense time going through and finding things that people haven't seen or haven't imagined yet in 3D. So, I was looking at a bunch of Slavic monsters. That's my heritage, and I found a lot of valuable information in there. Aboriginals, pre-Columbian Native American tribes. There's a wealth of information and really cool monsters out there if you're looking for inspiration. And
Okay.
if not, you just start combining pieces of one monster and combine it with another monster and just play around with it. Like I said, this is all supposed to be fun.
What's the concept idea that's in your head right now that Reaper hasn't asked you for or whatever? Maybe Reaper wouldn't be interested in it. What's a monster idea that's in your head popping around trying to get its way out?
Wow. That's
I mean, because do you have concepts in your mind running around all the time?
I have a couple of monsters in mind that I first read about in the Congo. Not that I was in the Congo, but I read about
the last time you were in the Congo.
Their cultural monsters. Mostly dinosaur-type cryptids, I think. Mm-hmm. I have in mind kind of a hippopotamus. I've always liked prehistoric giant pigs. I think I'd like to do one of those. I think they're called endontolons. I managed to do a giant sloth not too long ago. That was kind of a dream of mine.
Yeah, he was super cool. Rainbow Sculptor asked, what was my favorite Wiebe sculpt that I've ever painted? And I've been racking my brain while you've been talking to try to figure out what is. I don't know. I think usually it's the most recent things that I've done, like those. They're in the Bones 5. The little Japanese dudes. I'm blanking. The yokai, and I've been playing Neo 2, by the way. So there's yokai all in that. Those. It's just every time, especially when they're the new stuff that you're doing, I see the progression, especially, and I don't know if it's just the progression within your art, because hopefully I'm always trying to push my art more, but it's also maybe your connection to the media that you're using too, for your sculpting, digital sculpting.
I think if you've reached a point where you don't find joy in it, or if you don't find a challenge in it, or if you don't find a challenge in getting better, then you're just cruising. And cruising is fine sometimes when you're trying to make a living out of it, but it's very valuable to me to find just the little kernels of things that really make me happy, even in the most simple sculpts. That sumo frog up in the corner, I love doing that little piece, and he was very simple, didn't take a long time, worked it out, and turned out really well.
No, and it was funny you mentioned that you picked him because we hadn't talked at all. You said, "Hey, I want you to paint my level," and I'm like, "I'm totally excited to do that." And so Ron sent them over, and I had not talked to you at all about what they were. I didn't really even. I think you had maybe shared some photos with me initially in the sculpting process.
Yeah, I sent you some teaser shots.
Yeah, but then it was like I had the choice. I wanted to paint all of them, but which one did I grab first? And that was the one that I went for first. It was like that's it.
Well, if we can't inspire the people who paint our miniatures, then we need to readjust our focus.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and I had another freaking question, but I'm not good at doing multitasking.
Oh, real quick. Thank you, Trollord, for the rating party of 30. Wow. And then thank you very much earlier for Graz Yeti for the gifted sub, guys.
That's awesome.
We appreciate that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We're having a fantastic and stimulating conversation about sculpting.
That don't want.
Oh, imagine that.
Rainbow Sculptor asked a good question, and I'm going to answer it, and then you can answer it. How do you guys mentally work through the don't wannas? What are your go-to things to get enjoyment from? All right, so there's a couple of questions in there. The don't wannas, like, I don't want to paint that, but someone's asking me to paint that for them, well, that's relatively easy, especially if Ron's saying I need to get this painted. But fortunately, he kind of knows what I like, and this I'll even throw Jim Ludwig in this. I've done some stuff for Dark Sword too. They'll generally pick out stuff that I like, so that's a little bit easier. However, there's been a few over the years. It's been quite a while that you just try to make it fun. Or what I'll do a lot of times is I may be practicing something, trying to get better at doing freehand or trying to get better at doing non-metal metal or something like that. Then I will try to incorporate that into the piece to add a little more interest to it. Because if the sculpt's not jazzing me, then I'll try to delve into that whatever. And then what do I get my enjoyment from? If I'm not vibing on painting that day, I'll stop, or I'll pick up something else, or the only thing I really do too is I'll try to get into a video game, and I try to play games that are kind of visually inspiring. I like the Dark Souls series, and I've been playing Neo 2 lately, so I've been doing a lot of thinking about a lot of Japanese stuff. So when this little miniature came by, it was a more Asian inspired sculpt. I was kind of excited about that. So what about you, Jason? The mentally work?
Well, I go at it several different ways. If it's something that needs to get done, I'll invert my normal process and do the head and face first and put a scowling look on it. So every time I open that file, it's looking at me like, why haven't you finished me, you bastard?
That's awesome.
So that motivates me.
That's awesome.
If I hit a wall and I'm just dead out of ideas, say I'm trying to develop an idea that I don't have art for, it's a lot of looking at pictures and a lot of research.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a bucket of small amber pieces near my workstation. And sometimes if I'm really bogged up, I'll grab a little piece and I'll try to carve it and finish that carving in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows me to do something totally different that's still in the same vein. And I think I've given that advice to a lot of people, to try to still do something creative, so that you keep those gears running, but maybe step away from the project for just a little bit. It's like going outside and getting a breath of fresh air. Sometimes you have to do that. I do a lot of going outside and sculpting. So,
it's funny that you said that about the face. I will do that a lot of times. Most of the time, I will paint the face first, and that way they're staring at you, going, "When are you going to finish me?" And if I don't tend to paint the face first, so a lot of those figures, if they're not for a specific reason or for somebody, they won't get done. They'll just sit on the shelf of shame. But if I force myself, like for her, that's the first thing I did was I know I got to finish her, so I better get that face painted now, so then I can proceed with the rest. And
right, and it might, in our case, I pay bills every month.
Right.
So when it's pushed all the way to the wall, that's really the holdout position. Am I going to be able to pay that bill? How am I going to pay that bill? I can only pay it with what I know how to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. So,
Ring a raccoon, yes. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the number of projects. The best thing there is to just split them down into segments. Sometimes you attack the hardest thing first and get that under your belt.
Yeah.
Other times you maybe feel like doing an easy thing first. But there's definitely strategies that you can learn. I'm sure they're life coping skills as well when you have a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, and you know what? I bog myself down on projects all the time. I said on last week that I've got, at any given time, conservatively 10, 15, 20 things it's in, quote unquote, in process. So sometimes it is going, crap, I just gotta pick this one thing and do it. And I've even brought Michelle in. I'm like, okay, so which one do I need to finish now? Because I can't decide on one. So yeah, I get overwhelmed by it. And sometimes I'll have like those 10 things going, but I have something else I just bought and it's the new and shiny thing. So I want to put that together and see what it looks like. And I may, there's things that will sit there for a couple years before they get finished, and something that'll just come in the door and just go shoop and just go through and be done. Other ones will be in that process forever. So yeah, totally.
And sometimes you have to learn where to say no. I had a friend that just about quit painting because he was trying to plow through 400 Napoleonic 15 millimeter Napoleonic figures. He put his paints away for 2 years. We had to lure him out like some cornered animal to get him to paint again.
That is probably one of the main reasons why I get asked quite fairly frequently, hey, do you do any individual commission work? And I hope I never offend anybody or upset them, because I don't do any individual stuff. I do stuff for Reaper and occasionally for Jim at Darksword. And that's really, and then you guys. And if you need something, or Gene or Bobby or whatever, that's kind of what I've limited it to. I didn't hear that you said anything, Justin.
I said I need something.
Yeah, you're breaking up. It's
no. I need an entire Warhammer army.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
Yeah, see, I think you told me before you draw the line at Justin. Anything Justin said is probably no.
I see how it is.
Yeah, but really, because I have a day job that's different than this, right? But also, I want to have my time to enjoy my own personal projects. And some of those are Reaper miniatures and some are other companies, whatever. I want to still have that time where I can just be doing my crap.
Yep.
Yeah. I know you do the same thing.
Always pay yourself in the process somewhere.
Yeah.
You always got to do something for you.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to say, this... And if you kind of set those parameters, then it's a little bit easier just to keep on those rails and keep in those guidelines and stuff. And make sure, if you have decided to go down the road of being a quote unquote, I'm using air quotes for a commissioned professional painter or whatever. Awesome, do that. But don't forget why you got into it. And if that's bringing you a ton of joy, then awesome, go for it. But also don't let it kill your joy. Erin Corporea said, have I played Sekiro? I have, and it kicked my freaking ass. I didn't get to finish it. I got stuck on, I don't know. It was just killing me. And here's why I love that game. It's made by the Dark Souls folks. But what I didn't like about it is, I don't mind it being hard. But with Dark Souls, and then now with Neo 2 and Neo, the first Neo, you can summon people in to help your sorry ass, because I may not be the best player out there. But yeah, we could have a whole episode on Neo 2, because I'm digging it right now. I'm having a lot of fun. But I like the whole cooperative part of it. That Sekiro, you couldn't call anybody in, so I felt like I was all alone. I was lonely. And I was just getting my ass kicked left and right. I just couldn't make it past this one boss. I looked up all the videos, did all the cheat things, and he was still killing me every time. So I got mad, and I didn't break my controller, but I stopped playing. I'll probably pick it up again. So, anyways, that's the ramble.
One of my favorite things about this hobby avocation, I think, is the number of people in it, and we're all looking for a challenge and the ability to get better. Like I said, I'm really missing the conventions now because of that. I really do like to get out of my studio and meet other people that have their studios, and we talk online and stuff. But in general, I find it to be a very stimulating hobby and avocation, and certainly I wouldn't be doing it if that wasn't the case.
Yeah, no. And so so a lot of times I'll be online and I'll be on Putty and Paint or whatever, and I'll see just some badass paint job or some different ideas and different approaches. And so I'll just kind of challenge myself. How do I take what they've done and make it make it more in my style, or more that I can understand? Do you do the same? Do you
Yeah. I have it's been called for many years a swipe file.
Yeah.
I used to just Xerox pictures out of books and stick them in a binder, because it had not the whole thing, but there's one element, the way the knee is bent, the way the ankle's bent, a really cool pouch or a cool sword. And there's usually something. I've been really enjoying that about Facebook lately, because there's so many people putting up funny animal pictures. And there's a lot of animals pictures coming out. I saw an owl. I think it might have been Izzy that put it up. I saw an owl the other day in a great pose. Now, when it goes through my gumball machine and comes back out, it's probably not going to be an owl. It may not even be that pose.
In your
But I
gumball machine, I
found
like
something
that.
that I liked about it.
Yeah. I haven't heard your gumball machine. I like that. That's awesome.
Well, the older I get, that's the best way to explain it.
Do you see, like, in art, so if you see like another sculpture or another piece of art in a totally different style than yours, are you inspired to try to take a portion or some of that style and work it into your style? Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't remember the project, but for a little while I was obsessed with those Lascaux cave paintings of the horses, the big fat horses with the little tiny legs. I think Warner Brothers had one in their Valkyrie cartoon.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And I just love those things.
Yeah.
And there were some Asian depictions of horses like that too. And, it rolled around for a couple of years, and finally I made a horse like that, and I can't even remember what it was for. But yeah, you gotta keep doing that, and you gotta look at old masters. You gotta look at a lot of new art. There's so much vibrant stuff out there right now, especially leafing through people's digital portfolios and stuff. ArtStation, all those places, tremendous sources of inspiration. And it's okay to be inspired. You don't have to rip something off completely, but it's definitely okay to see how other artists have solved a problem.
No, and I said this last week, and I definitely want to repeat this as much as possible. Be inspired. Take somebody else's idea, but make it yours. Have your. I really encourage to have your own voice and have your own approach. Corporea is on here as well, and Erin Hartwell. She is just such from the painting standpoint. She just created her own freaking style. Rhonda's the same way. I mean, I see their work now, and I see I can see them in those pieces, which is really neat to see. Yeah, so I hear what you're saying. I try to look at other people's stuff and go, wow, I like what they did there. But
yeah.
And then
I watched you work, and every once in a while you get into this drunken monkey groove that's just amazing. You're not trying for super tight control. You're just kind of letting everything determine in its own path. And you've done some really wonderful stuff that way.
My drunken monkey foo. I got to remember that. I love that. I'm going to try to, I need to use that. Drunken monkey foo. Maybe we need a miniature of a drunken monkey foo thing.
Oh, I've probably got one. Let me pull it out. I probably got one. Sometimes you just sculpt an idea and get it out of the way.
Right. So I mean, even on the emissary piece is something that I think you and I were the bust we showed off earlier was something that we were just kind of brainstorming one day via text.
Yeah.
I love orangutans are one of my favorite animals. I just think they're just so cool with so much personality. Your Orangutango, I think that was his name, right? The cyberpunk. I still do I have that? I won't.
Yeah, and I think I saw something on the Reaper Facebook page. One of Jim Ludwig's orangutan sculpts I had done, and they made it look like the librarian from the Terry Pratchett novels.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and you did. I did your orangutan that Jim has too.
Yeah,
I've done a few of your.
Well, I've got a couple more of those busts on the way.
Yeah.
I kind of did that, and then I got into the digital stuff, and I've only been able recently to feel like I should do something digitally along those lines again. So
yeah, I think
I'll be talking to you about that in a while.
Yeah, and I think I like. There's lots of busts of people, right? I want to see more monsters or critters or creature busts.
Yeah,
I think those are cool. Those are awesome.
Yeah, well, those Julie Gusley dragon busts and elf busts are. Those were really. I was very happy to see those come out in the Reaper lines.
I mean, the busts, and I was telling around the entire time. I want to see a whole range of dragon busts, all the different variations of the dragons, in a bust. I think she would do such a fantastic job. Or, it'd just be neat to see all that stuff. But to see a Wiebe troll on a bust, that'd be freaking awesome.
That'd be good.
Yeah. So, I mean, any of your characters into a bust form is cool. Even
yeah. I mean, every once in a while I get the idea that, it could go somewhere else, like a gear shift knob or a radiator cap. So I've often thought about that kind of stuff too.
Right. All right. So we are about 15 minutes over, Justin.
We are. I'm glad you.
It's
You know
my
what?
fault.
No, it's been fun.
I was just about to bring it up actually. So thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know why our stage director. What's going on with him?
Right.
Actually, before the show started, Proctor said he wanted to go a little bit above an hour. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and you wanted to go out and get a chili burger. I remember that.
chili burger. I mean, that does sound good, but where am I getting one of those?
I know.
I don't know.
Chili burger.
I thought you had. Oh, that's right. Pizza Dungeon isn't open yet.
Yeah.
Right.
But Pizza Dungeon going to serve chili burgers?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think that's maybe that's
Dave would know.
Yeah, if Dave is still on. All right. Did we miss anything in the chat while we were rambling?
Well, I mean, there's always tons of stuff in chat, but that's like I said. If make sure everyone here is in the Discord. If you're not, join the Discord. Find the Proctor. It's in the name. Proctor names for Proctor.
Yeah.
And just have a conversation in there, guys. You don't, even if someone else can help answer the question because
for his channel or for him.
It's a channel in Discord that's for this show.
Yeah.
No, okay, so it's not our pet names for Proctor.
Let's not go there.
I mean, you're allowed to put pet names in there if you really want.
Okay, but you have to roll them into a show title?
No. It started off as a show title thing because I started off with Crow's Nest as a working title, but it's grown on me. I think we're going to keep it. I think that's what it's going to be until it's not.
Yeah.
So now we'll just.
Although I was really fond of Bobby's,
Yeah, what was that? Do you remember?
It was the crow. What was it?
Clever Cloaca.
Clever Cloaca. That's what it was.
No,
it's Bobby.
No. Bobby owns the whole Cloaca reference. Cloacas are tied to Jackson, so if he has one or not, it's
he's
up to
not
him.
in chat, unfortunately.
Yeah. So so next week, next Tuesday, we're doing this again. We're gonna have a guest, hopefully. If not, we won't. Or maybe Wiebe will be on again. I don't know. We'll plan it out as we go along. But I want to thank everybody for listening and hope you had a good time. Hope I didn't miss too many of the questions. And that's all I got.
I love all you guys. I mean, this is great to interact with people. Yeah, especially now.
Yeah, and is there any any other parting shot, Jason, besides what you just said? So.
No, just thanks for having me on. You have a great show. I'm anxious to see how it grows. Justin does a surprisingly good job with it.
Surprisingly a good job. Yeah, I know. It's pretty awesome. I think Justin's definitely underutilized. So I'm trying to bring him more into the actual.
Well, the man's a
genius. Part of the
genius.
show.
I mean, I don't know if he was a sculptor or a painter. I don't know what would happen. But
yeah, I know. I may not get work anymore. So I think just stay where you are, Justin. Don't try to branch out.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Justin.
All right.
No problem. Hey, listen. This is honestly. It is a lot of work, but much like when you guys paint and sculpt, it's one of the things I have a passion about. So it ends up being more fun than anything else because I love problem solving, especially with technology involved.
Yeah,
so.
Well, that's what we do too. We're all problem solvers.
And
I get you.
And some of us, you have to solve more problems than others.
Oh, me for sure. I'm technology crap.
No, he
wouldn't send me instructions in ASCII, so.
You haven't been on the line when we've been trying to figure out how to get this freaking streaming thing going. So.
No, always let someone else go first. I learned that in D&D.
I know, except when we played and you get us attacked because you come running in the room attacking everything. So.
Hey, that was just one time, and it was because of Bobby.
All right.
He was thirsty. He had prepared that trap, and he was thirsty for someone to spring it. And Bobby's one of my other best friends, and I'm not going to disappoint him.
Yes. We're not going to abandon a fellow friend in the campaign. If he's running in making a dumb move, we're going to follow him along, just like we follow you. And welcome to Clawtown, bitches. So.
Also, now that we have everyone here, and we probably have a large majority of the people who will probably be watching the next episode of Reaper Errant, we're still getting the scheduling kind of worked out. Right now, it's loosely for Fridays.
Yeah.
It could change, obviously. Just want to let everyone know now that don't if it doesn't happen this Friday, it's because we're still working out schedules. There's lots of people involved. When you have the caliber of celebrities that we do for this show, I mean, and the powerhouse technological production warehouse that Frank has over there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts.
There's a lot of moving parts.
We have one reticent person, and he's probably the most talented of all of us.
Yeah.
And so we can't really.
You have a lot of moving parts, but when you have one cog that just seizes up and and won't move, that's what causes all the other moving parts that are finely oiled, fine-tuned parts. It just wrecks the whole thing. So
what did you use on your door, Michael? A shoehorn and a case of Vaseline or something? That's what we need.
To hinges, if your door is squeaking, you pop the hinge out and you put a little Vaseline on it. Solves the problem.
There you go.
I looked that up.
That's a good place. That's a good place to wind it up. A tremendous
Home improvement tips at the very end of the show. We're always going to try to do that.
We'll answer one more question here. Los Torpedoes, I think, because they just tuned in. What is the name of this mini again? And is it available yet, or is it for May?
This is the May exclusive miniature that will be available come May 1st in the Reaper online store. I do not know the name of her. But she'll be the exclusive. Somebody else in the stream is going to pop the name before I can bother looking up. And if you spend more than $40 in the store, you can get this for free, or you could just buy her out before shipping. You can get her and for free, or you could pick one of 11. There's 11 other miniatures. There'll be a total of 12 that you can choose from, and she'll be running through. If you don't feel like you run out and get them first part of May, that's awesome, but she'll be around through the end of the year too if there's something else you want to pick up as well in the meantime. And if for every $40 you spend, you get another free miniature, is what I understood it to be.
An embarrassment of riches.
Yeah. All right, we're rating.
Well, we're not rating quite yet. We're almost going to rate.
We're almost
rating. Real quick, while this thing counts down. We have about 45 seconds.
45?
Jason, is there anything you want to plug real quick?
Well, our gaming channel, Bones 5, the pledge manager is still open, so don't despair if you're having economic difficulties. We got a little bit of time to get back on your feet before you have to cinch that order up.
Yeah, check out the yokai from Jason too. Those are super sweet.
Yeah, buy my yokai, please.
Yeah.
Those yokai are pretty cool. All right, as far as the raid goes, we're going to be rating Pixelogic, which I believe they do a lot of ZBrush stuff. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that the company that made ZBrush?
Ooh.
Pixelogic? I'm not...
Yes, Pixelogic made ZBrush.
Okay, they're streaming right now, and there's someone that they're hosting that are,
they have tremendous videos, guys. I mean, I recommend that company so highly.
Awesome. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Had a blast. Had a lot of fun. Thanks for all the good support and comments and everything. And take care. Be safe. Stay healthy. Wear your masks. Don't touch strange people.
Yep. We love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for Ann's show. Although Ann's show may be delayed by a bit. We'll see you guys. We'll keep you posted.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.